The story of this teenage burglar is capturing the imagination of many people. He can't seem to be caught, and police say he's been on a one-man crime wave since he was 7. Early Show national correspondent Hattie Kaufman is in Los Angeles with the latest. Hattie, good morning.
Good morning, Harry. For every crime Colton Harris Moore allegedly commits, the legend grows. There is now a Facebook page with thousands of fans rooting him on. This is where the legend of Colton Harris Moore began. Just 16 years old, already a serial burglar in shackles before he escaped, taunting all who tried to catch him.
Police speculating tonight the burglar who stole camping equipment and clothes from a nearby home was 18-year-old Colton Harris Moore.
He's been on the run nearly 2 years, hiding in the forest north of Seattle, but often showing up on security cameras, sometimes leaving a calling card.
He likes to take pictures of himself in other people's cabins. It's kind of creepy.
His alleged crimes are now getting bolder.
We have 2 stolen boats, and we have possibly 2 stolen planes that we would attribute to this young man.
Seattle radio host Bob Rivers owns a plane that Colton allegedly hotwired, flew, and crash landed before he walked away and disappeared.
It's a burglar with a James Bond complex who happens to be a little kid. He's young. And they need to catch him.
But they haven't. Not even a Homeland Security helicopter could do the trick. And with each success, his legend grows, inspiring T-shirts, a ballad, even a Facebook fan club.
7,497
members, people who took the time to sign up as a member of Colton's fan club.
Yeah.
Online commenters root him on. "You are a true hero," says one. "You can move in my house in Greece," says another. But in Colton's hometown, it's a different reaction.
He's young and being stupid. I'm not going to be all being his friend on Facebook because of it.
People who just really glamorize him, I think, is just disgusting.
Josh Flickner says he and other business owners have beefed up security.
Is there a sense of I'll be damned if I'm going to be his next victim?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
This rugged beauty is what attracts people to Camino Island. But those woods also make a great place for a thief to hide. So when Colton's on the run, island residents are locking their doors.
It's just tiring. Every night you lock your door, you put your lights on, and it's really, it's not fun anymore.
Lock your door.
Hopefully they catch the guy
light on, lady.
soon.
That's
so everybody can get back to normal.
Any major city. Calm down.
Over the past 2 years, there have been Colton sightings from Idaho to British Columbia. But after a string of robberies back in his hometown, police believe Colton has returned to where the crime spree began. Harry?
All right, Hattie Kaufman in Los Angeles this morning. Thank you very much. Very interesting report. You can get T-shirts. There are several places where you can buy T-shirts now, but the locals there are fed up. It's like, enough of this already. Well, he is, in one sense, a folk hero. He really is a fugitive from justice, and folks are fed up.
Yeah, let's see how many friends and fans he has when they catch him and send him to jail. I have a feeling he's going to be all alone.
Nah, see, look, all right. Let's talk about these fools right here on the TV. All right, now keep in mind, guys, this is like 10 years ago. This is a long time ago, man. This kid, he's like, this kid, when he got caught, he was 19. I'm actually going to go into this stuff. Now, first off, I want to tell you guys, anybody who's in the chat right now, I appreciate you joining. I usually have a late night crowd. I had one late last night. I didn't keep it up because it was just us kind of bullshitting and having a good time. But I wanted to, and also, this is the only time during the day that I'm going to have really for the rest of this week. So I'm going to take my chances here with the daytime crowd, which isn't much, but I am really, really grateful for those who are here. So Rosalind, Geisha Girl, thank you for being the only 2 people in the chat. But I really appreciate you being here. So I'm going to try to make this as entertaining for the 3 of us as I can. But I'm having a really fun time exploring this kid's legend, and a legend it is, because I can't seem to get an accurate. Now I'm sure I could, if I were a real true crime sleuth like a lot of these YouTube creators are, which I'm not. I don't put myself in the same class as them. But hey, what's up, Sandy Jersey Girl and Audra? Just Mama. Damn, everybody just popped up. Cassie, Sad Soul. What's happening? Sorry you couldn't sleep, Audra. Maybe I can bore you to death. Well, not to death, but to sleep, bore you to sleep. Yeah, man, the more I explore this, the more I realize that it's a legend. Hey, UC boss. Hey, Naima. I'm not sure how to pronounce your name. Sorry about that. But the more I explore this, it's a legend, because I can't seem to get the same exact ages and dates of when things happen and events in this kid's life. But I mean, I'm assuming he's probably about 29 years old now. So I'm thinking that he's gonna. Yeah, I'm thinking that this kid is. We're gonna explore that together, because I have not looked into exactly what he's up to today. So we're gonna get into that. I'm gonna look into that a little bit and see what happens. I should be sleeping right now, so those of you who are awake with me, I feel your pain, but I appreciate you being here, because I'm normally asleep right now. But anyway, we are going to. I'm gonna talk a little bit about this kid, because he blows my mind. What this kid pulled off blows my mind. And then after I do this live stream, I think the next time there's actually like about an hour and 20-minute long documentary, and it's pretty brilliant, man. Somebody posted it in my group, so if you haven't watched it already and you got time to watch it, go ahead and watch it. But we're gonna watch it all together here. At some point, we're gonna do that, but not today, or at least not on this stream. Who knows? Maybe I'll come on late tonight and then we'll do it. But yeah, I wanted to talk about this stuff now. And before I get into that, did anybody do that broom challenge? Anybody do that? Because apparently, I mean, I don't know what. Let's look into that real quick. Let's check out and see what the broom challenge is supposed to be exactly. It's supposed to have something to do with the earth being in a certain position right now and align with the moon and blah 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 blah. Okay, so here we go. I'm gonna read this a little bit. Mysterious trick of gravity, my ass. All right, so we're gonna look at this. I'm gonna look into this broom challenge thing. I don't know what this is, though. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I did it. I did it. So okay, check it out. So it says here, oh man, now it's making me. I'm not disabling my ad blocker. Suck a dick. That's not happening. I'm gonna find an article that doesn't make me take down my ad blocker. So fuck you and your little site. All right. Let's see. So Flint, Michigan, scroll through. Common posts on Twitter say you can stand a broom up only today because of a gravitational pull that will occur only today. People are also citing NASA, saying NASA announced that on February 10th and February 10th can people stand up a broom because of the Earth's gravitational pull. NASA has not posted anything about the broom challenge. That's because, I mean, look, I don't know. I don't know nothing about that. I think you could just stand up a damn broom. You know, it's one of those things as if you have enough inclination to do it, you can. I mean, but it's silly. It's whatever, man. But it's, you know, all right, look. Let me see. Well, and I used an old ass broom that's been used and used and used. So you guys haven't heard, nobody in this chat has heard of today's broom challenge. Are you kidding me? Nobody in this chat has heard about this broom challenge thing. You're all women. You're all of that demographic of people who watched a fucking Wendy Williams show where she's talking about it because it was on in the living room when I walked out there. So you guys are none of you all heard of this broom challenge thing. All right. So yeah, supposedly, according to just today, the gravitational pull of the Earth has something to do with yeah, I normally do too, soldier photos. I normally do too. But I I figured, you know, why not, man? You know, normally I'm the guy when everybody else is doing some stupid shit online. I'm the guy that shits all over it. I put up a post just shitting all over it every time. I'm that guy. I'm the guy that everybody hates on Facebook because everybody's doing the one thing, and then I'm just going, stupids. I bet you I could stand up a broom every other day of the year. And it's, you know, it kind of sucks being that guy sometimes because people don't like that guy. But I it's fun to me sometimes. I don't know why. Yeah, and then someone said aliens, and oh, I should post. Yeah, hold on, man. Let me show you guys. Let me show you guys the I'm gonna show you guys the video that Shannon posted about it. That's how I first heard about it, and then I was like, all right. But it's a pretty funny one. So to be introduced to this situation here this way was pretty funny. But we're going to be talking about Colton Harris Moore mainly. I just wanted to like see where everybody was at on this little thing right here. Hold on. Man, Facebook is so fucking slow on the computer. It's almost like Facebook now is just designed to work for your phone. Well, well, shit, man. I already posted that. I talked about that. Oh, here we go. Here we go, y'all. Hold on. Yeah, hold on. Hold on, I gotta bring it back, pause it, make it full screen, unmute. All right, so we're gonna watch this.
What are you doing? Trying to get my broom to levitate. Say something about the moon or the aliens or some fucking shit that you set your broom up, it will levitate. Let's see. That didn't work. Fuck that shit. Try it. I'm trying. The motherfucker keeps falling. It worked, motherfucker, it worked. What the hell?
Okay.
That's got me stuck. I don't know what the fuck's going on.
How are you doing this right now?
I ain't touching it.
Granny, hold on.
Lady's got that huge ass
What?
picture.
Oh my God!
Why does she have?
It's the fucking alien, Jake. It's the fucking alien. I told you, motherfucker.
Take that off your head!
Hell no, I'm protecting my fucking brain. Quit, motherfucker. Quit. Get out. Don't you touch my fucking hat. They ain't getting my fucking brain.
All right, so I mean, I'm sure that was like parodied. They made the hat and everything like that. That's funny.
Your biggest fan.
Hold on, let me shut this bullshit up. But but yeah, so I posted a little video on Facebook and Instagram about it. But it's I mean, yeah, it's silly. It's just another one of those things. It's kind of like, you remember you remember the ice bucket challenge, but see, the thing with that was, you know, it was money was going to charity. It was going for LS, wasn't it? I can't remember exactly. Do people really do the foil hat thing, dude? Do people still? I'm looking at the comments here. Let me see if I missed anybody who came in. Joan Brown, what's up, Robbie's mom? Devil Mike, just a mama. Okay, right. So yeah, we're gonna. I find that. What? Okay, all right, listen, dude. Devil Mike, I like you, dude. I like you a lot, bro. But I can't get into these theories. I can't get into these. Well, that's because I got a new camera, Joan Brown. That's all it is. I got a new webcam. That's all that is. I shelled out a little bit of money that y'all sent here. Pretty much all the money that y'all sent. And well, not really, because I can't access the super chats yet. I don't know, YouTube like lets you do that whenever they feel like letting you do that. But the PayPal money that y'all sent, I bought this little nifty little webcam. So yeah, man. Thank you guys for the webcam. Appreciate it. Yeah, this so yeah, I've never put on a foil hat. I mean, they put a lot of time into that foil hat though. Or did they buy that foil hat? Was somebody selling those foil hats somewhere? Because it had a chin strap and everything. Okay. There's let's see. So we're gonna get back to Colton Harris Moore. We're gonna talk a little bit about this kid, the Barefoot Bandit, right? Now, again, I was saying this earlier. You know, I'm not real deep into. I'm checking out Wikipedia. I'm playing little news clips here and there, and none of them match up. So I'm just gonna go ahead and call him what it is, man. The kid is a legend. He is a legend, certified. That is none of this information is absolutely accurate. And the kid's out there. He's real. He's alive. I'm sure that information is attainable. I just, you know, I'm not a true crime creator where I have the inclination to go digging for all the deep facts. I mean, you get the idea. You know, Wikipedia and news clippings are good enough for y'all. So that's what I'm doing. So So you got this kid, Colton Harris Moore. And I'm looking at, he was born on March 22nd, 1991. He's currently age 28. So this kid, yeah, I mean, he's no longer a kid anymore. He's I'm not sure what he's doing yet. We're gonna dig into that a little bit later. We're gonna explore that together and see what Colton's up to. Excuse me, what Colton's up to these days. But this kid, if you watched the last live I did, you got an idea of what he did. This kid was he became known as the Barefoot Bandit because he would burglarize. He would commit burglaries and really bold ones, and run from the cops in the woods barefooted. And this kid is 6'5". So he was 6'5" back then. And I mean, this, for like 3 years, this kid managed to evade the police, the FBI. I mean, he had everybody looking for him, and he would just kind of, you know who he reminds me of a little bit? I mean, Billy the Kid was a killer, but he reminds me a little bit about of Billy the Kid. And Billy the Kid was even older than him. Billy the Kid only had the name Billy the Kid because he had a very young looking face, and he wouldn't drink, according to legend. That was the thing about Billy the Kid. I had a weird little fanaticism for Billy the Kid for a brief period of time when I was about 14, 15 years old. And I did a little, reading up on him in the school library and whatnot. And this kid, the Billy the Kid, I think he was 21. So I guess he was kind of still a kid. I think he was 21 at his peak when he was at his height of his crimes. And what Billy the Kid would do is he would rustle cattle. That was his thing. He would steal a rancher's cattle and then take it somewhere and take it to like a meat place and sell it, or whatever. I mean, but he stayed in New Mexico doing this. He would not leave New Mexico. And that's why Colton Harris Moore reminds me of Billy the Kid, because he felt comfortable for the most part in his area. Now, that's not to say that he was confined to that area, but he always felt comfortable going back. And he just always did that. I mean, that area where he lived in Mount Vernon, Washington, that's where he was born. I'm not sure if that's where he lived. I have to look into that somewhere else. But I think, that was where he dwelled during this period of time, was around that area outside of Seattle, Washington. So so you can imagine, excuse me, you can imagine, this kid was, I mean, it blows my mind how young he is, or at least was when all this happened. You got to keep in mind, this happened like 10 years ago, man. And he was born in 1991. I remember 1991 vividly. I remember that year vividly. I was trying to find porn everywhere and listening to Pearl Jam obsessively, and it was. I mean, I remember exactly where I was and what I was doing. What's up, Breakfast Club fan? Yeah, so it blows my mind what this kid was doing and how young he was and how bold he was. I mean, this kid had, he had a set of balls on him that nobody has. Nobody has the bravery that this kid had. And oh, I'm gonna get to that, Geisha girl. I love that you asked that question, because that's actually probably my favorite aspect of this story. This kid stole 3 airplanes. Like, if you were logged on watching the video clip, there was this kind of locally famous radio DJ that this kid hot-wired his little Cessna plane and took it and crash landed it. Every single plane this kid stole, he crash landed because he couldn't figure out how to land, and then and survived fine. Like, not only survived, but managed to just get out of the cockpit and run off on foot and then steal a car. So, and there's a reason why we're talking about this. There's a reason why we're talking about what this kid did, and we're talking about him in a positive manner. We're talking about how cool it is and blah, blah, blah. But the reason why we're doing that is because A, he didn't really actually hurt anybody. He didn't actually hurt anybody. And B, because he was just a kid. I mean, we all did dumb shit when we were kids. The only difference between me and this kid is he was really, really good at it. And he had initiative. I mean, he reminds me of my son in a lot of ways, but I mean, my son would never have the initiative that this kid has. My son has the tenacity, and he actually kind of reminds me of my son a little bit, but he's not. Nobody is to this kid's level, and the difference is the way this kid grew up. Also, I think justifies us in praising this kid in such a way, because he's grown up now. He spent his entire young life in prison. Well, let's be optimistic here and say half of his young life in prison, because he's still young. He's still very young. He could still make great great things happen for himself in his life. A person with the kind of initiative that this kid had and the type of tenacity that he had to say, he basically would be like, there's absolutely nothing stopping me from doing exactly what I want. The only difference is he lacked the guidance to go about it the right way, but he had absolute and total ambition. You're going to tell me a kid who sat there dreaming about flying airplanes? I'm going to tell you this. First, we're going to get into that in a second. First, we're going to get into his childhood a little bit here. So according to this, he was born in Mount Vernon, Washington, and he grew up in his mother's house in Camano Island. And that area, Camano Island, is the area that he's most known for having such a that's his concentrated area for his crimes. And apparently as a child, his neighbors are said to have made several calls to Child Protective Services that they were believing that he was being neglected or even abused. His father's name was Gordon Moore, and apparently was a drug addict and imprisoned while Colton was a toddler. And when Colton was 12 years old, his father walked out after an argument at a family barbecue, apparently. His mother, Pamela Kohler, she remarried, and there was a stepfather apparently in the picture, and he died when Colton was 7 years old. So, I mean, I guess the parents were split up already when Colton's dad walked out and left. I guess he was just still in the picture, but then okay, that makes sense. According to his mother, when Colton was in the first grade, she just knew there was something about him, sort of disconnection, that he wouldn't listen to his teachers. He would start fights. He would break things. So he was an angry kid, you know. He was definitely an angry kid. And all right, look at us. We're a bunch of people. Everybody here in the chat, right? You know, when we are talking about somebody in this community, and we're talking about somebody that's been in the news, and they have this kind of upbringing, they have this kind of family history, what do they usually turn out to be in the cases we're talking about? These people turn out to be violent killers. These people turn out to be to just make awful decisions and end up being so angry that they end up taking it out on women or children. This is very, very different. We're talking about a kid who was just as angry, and very, you know, he was an angry kid. Apparently, you know, smashing things around the house. I was that kind of kid. I was the kind of kid who would break stuff. I would punch walls. You know, I was a really, really angry kid. And I can relate to this. And I lashed out as a teenager. And I think this kid, all he did was lash out as a teenager and behave according to the lack of guidance that he should have had growing up. So, and it says here that a court-ordered psychiatric evaluation says that his mother drank and became mean, and she would break his stuff. So how about that, right? I mean, we're sitting here, we're talking about him breaking stuff, but it could have just been that he wasn't even all that angry. You know, he had reason to be angry, but it could have been that he really wasn't angry, and that was just whenever he would get angry, because we all get angry, that was the example that was set in front of him on a daily basis. So his mom would get pissed off and start breaking his shit, not even her shit, his shit. So what he would do, he would break her shit too. You know, that's I mean, how do you expect him to behave? How do you expect a kid to behave, right? So says at 7 here, he would bake. I guess that area of Seattle, man, there's a lot of vacation spots, man. Probably, yeah. So he would break into these vacation spots, and I guess when they were closed, you know, like not closed, but people were away. These were vacation homes, and these people would be away on the off seasons or whatever, and he would steal blankets and food and water, and then take off into the forest. And he was doing this at age 7, according to this. So he got his first conviction for stolen property at age 12, and he had more by the time he was 13. So he has been, okay, it says that he has been diagnosed with depression and attention deficit disorder. Makes a lot of sense. And intermittent explosive disorder. That also makes a lot of sense. So we're talking about a kid, you know, with angst. I mean, he was dealing with a lot. And it's interesting that he had the ADD. It's interesting that he had ADD because this kid totally he was brilliant. He was absolutely brilliant. I can't wait to tell you guys about the planes, dude. The planes blows my fucking mind. Let's see. So every time he was convicted, I guess the system understood what he was dealing with, and you know, I guess what happens when you know, you can imagine when you're a child in the system, right? What happens is they assign you a social worker, and a couple of other people, depending on, like, if your parents are getting divorced, you get you get a guardian ad litem. or if they're fighting for custody of you and you're too small, you're too young of an age to speak for yourself, you're assigned a guardian ad litem. So there's always somebody there to look over you and kind of understand what type of situation you're a product of. And it looks to me that that Colton probably more than likely had a social worker of some sort, depending on what they call them within that state, assigned to him and this person probably understood very well the situation that he was in and was able to present this to a judge whenever he would get in trouble. And so he would always end up getting a 10-day stay at a detention center or community service. And, you know, you give a kid like that community service, so you try to teach him the values of giving back instead of taking. Like you could just do that. You can't just go around doing whatever you want. You know what I'm saying? So it makes sense to me that they would try to do this. So it sounds to me like the system was actually trying to help him as best as they could. And a lot of states, they don't have a lot of money in their budgets to do this. So that's probably why they could only house him for 10 days because they didn't think he was a bad kid, but they couldn't just let things that he was doing go either. So his mother was quoted here in saying every time he had anything good, everyone thought that he stole it. What does that do for a kid? Well, I mean, it's funny because it's funny when you listen to this lady, she doesn't seem to have any accountability for her end of things here. But she loves her son. I don't think that she knew how to. So who knows what her background was like. But there's that short documentary that I mean, it's like an hour and 20 minutes long, but one of these days we're going to go over it and we're going to watch it together, I think. And she makes some very interesting points, and she seems to love her son, but she seems to have a lot of really heavy problems of her own. And she seems to genuinely love her son. She just doesn't seem to know how to, if that makes any sense. She has trouble with it. Let's see. So in 2003, apparently, police found a neighbor's camcorder in his house. He gets sentenced to 3 years. He gets sentenced to 3 years, and then he ended up escaping. But he was in a halfway house. So in 2000, so I guess he did his time because this happened in 2008. So what I'm guessing this timeline is explaining that in 2003 they found it. Probably took him a year to get convicted or something. Who knows? Maybe 2004. He probably did the 3 year sentence and then left the halfway house in April of 2008. So the halfway house is where he went after he finished his time. And so he basically broke, I guess, the equivalent to what juvenile parole is, whatever that means. I don't know a lot about that. Hold on, let me see something real quick. Well, see, Devil Mike, I don't think that he was suicidal in any way. I don't know if that's what you're implying or not. Hey, later, Sad Soul. I don't know if that's what you're implying or not, but yeah, it's pretty wild, man. So this kid would steal vehicles this kid would steal vehicles, and like he was just a car thief, and he would go for joyrides, and he would break into houses. Like these vacation spots, like I said, because he kind of knew to do that since he was 7. So he would break into these houses and just kind of chill because he knew nobody was there, and he'd just like fix up some food and eat it and like sleep. You know, it's wild, man. So he would just run away from home and then just kind of live the life that he fantasized about living. He would see these nice houses where he would assume that functional families lived, and he would try to experience that for himself. And simulate that. He would try to simulate that for himself and just kick it in these people's houses as a kid. And let's see. So we're going to get into a little bit of the crimes here. And in 2010, he was suspected of vehicle thefts. And the vehicle thefts that he was suspected of, they reached as far east as Illinois. So this kid was getting around, and he's suspected to have done passing throughs through Idaho, South Dakota, Nebraska, Iowa, and Illinois. And in 2008, the cops found a Toyota I don't even know how you say that. Sequoia, I guess, Toyota Sequoia in Norfolk, Nebraska, which was reported stolen in Yankton, South Dakota. And there were several burglaries reported at the Carl Stephan Memorial Airport. So he was targeting airports. He was already kind of kicking it around airports, and he's robbing these places. And he's doing it, you can tell, because we know that he ends up stealing planes, that he's just kind of casing the place for planes and kind of sizing up how easy it would be to steal a plane while he's in there jacking them for food and money. So, let's see. And he stole a truck in Ottumwa, Iowa. Ottumwa, Iowa. And it was later recovered in Dallas City, Illinois. And on the 4th of July in 2010, a Cessna 400 single-engine plane was reported stolen from the Bloomington, Indiana airport, and was later found crashed in the shoreline waters of Great Abaco Island in the Bahamas. So that's way later. That's what happened way later. But so this kid basically, he went wild. He went absolutely wild, stealing whatever he wanted. And when you watch these little news reports that are from the time when he was doing this stuff, it's pretty fantastic, because there's people were cheering him on. People were like, yeah, go Colton. And he was taunting cops, man. This kid, he would steal cameras from people. And he stole a camera at one point, and then ended up taking a selfie of himself in the woods and sending it to the cops, kind of like, yo, you guys cannot get me. You can't get me. He just got off on the fact that everybody was looking for him, and then it just became this very elaborate game for him, of him against law enforcement. And I'm going to keep doing whatever the fuck I want to do, and nobody's going to stop me. And I'm going to steal whoever shit that I want to steal, because it's in his mind, it was his to take. In his mind, if it was within his capabilities of taking it, that automatically made it his. That and that's totally it's totally entitlement, right? Sure, it's terrible, but at the same time, is it? Because he was also willing to put in the work that it took to take this stuff. You know, it wasn't like he did it the coward's way, where he put a gun to somebody's head and said, "Give me your car," you know, and he wasn't bullying anybody to do it. In his mind, he was just, you know, if you don't protect your stuff better, then guys like me are going to come along and they're going to take it, and you deserve to have it taken for just flaunting it in my face, which is kind of ridiculous. It's a crazy way of thinking, but it's pretty mind-blowing, because it's very much like a kid to think that way. It's very much like a kid to think that way. So I'm going to see if I can find another video here. Let me see. See if there's an interview. Oh, is there an interview? No, I don't think there's an interview. So this kid didn't even do interviews. Like, no TV interviews. I'm not finding anything. So yeah, I'm trying to find, yeah, and there's something here. I don't, you know, if I can avoid a copyright strike, I will, but I've gotten copyright strikes for playing Inside Edition clips, and I don't want to play an Inside Edition clip if I can find something else. Here's some footage of his court date, pleading guilty here.
Appropriate to elders.
Hold on. So let's look at that real quick.
Really careful. We acknowledge receipt of the amended information and the indicated fees will be guilty.
And you waive formal reading as well?
That's correct.
All right, thank you. Mr. Harris Moore, would you please stand? Sir, by entering a guilty plea to both of these cases, you're giving up these constitutional rights. You're giving up your right to a speedy and public trial by an impartial jury in this county. Do you understand?
Yes.
You're giving up your right to remain silent and your right to refuse to testify against yourself. Do you understand?
Yes.
At trial, you could testify if you wanted to do so. You could cross-examine witnesses who testify against you, and you could bring in witnesses to testify for you at no expense to you. Do you understand you're giving these rights up?
Yes.
Are you aware that because these are felonies that you may not own, possess, or have under your control any firearm, and
yes,
that you may not have a concealed pistol license?
Yes, I do.
Are you also aware that I do not have to follow anyone's recommendation as to sentencing?
Yes.
Is it weird that I'm kind of bummed out that this kid can't carry a gun in his adult life? Like, he lost that privilege. And I'm not even sure that I mean, it could be argued, right? It could be argued that the punishment kind of fits the crime. But I don't really think it does. I'm not sure if I feel that way or not. I'm just now kind of thinking about it. Because she just basically said you can never carry a firearm. You can never purchase a firearm, carry one. Because he's a convicted felon. That's it. That's the deal he made when he pled guilty. And he yeah, it sucks. But it kind of makes sense because you never know. He might get out of prison and upgrade to armed robbery. You never know. You just never know. But I mean, anybody who commits armed robbery isn't going to use a gun they registered in their own fucking name. You know what I'm saying? And this kid never seemed to really show any homicidal tendencies at all. This kid never showed that in his actions.
You have no, I don't know if you have a statement. My copy, the courtesy copy, has no statement that he's made.
As to the factual basis
Yes.
For these offenses, it's my understanding that the defense and Mr. Harris Moore have indicated that the court can review the probable cause affidavits and make the findings based on those.
That's correct.
All right.
You probably have already done that, I would say.
I have done that. I've read all of the materials that have been submitted and filed. I do find that the defendant's guilty plea is knowingly, intelligently, and voluntarily made, that he understands the charge and the consequence of the plea. I also find that there's a factual basis based on the documents that have been filed. I find you guilty as charged. You may have a seat.
I mean, yeah, you gotta. That's an interesting speculation there, Geisha girl. I wonder if he at some point had a girlfriend or two where he would sneak in their room at night. At that age, I can't imagine him not wanting some young love. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that here's the thing, man. He doesn't strike me as the type that concerned himself with that much. He was addicted to the adrenaline rush. He was always running. He was always, I mean, not to say there's not an adrenaline rush from having some little girlfriend who thinks he's like the bee's knees, you know, for what he's doing. And then he sneaks into their room at night and, you know, parents never find out. And it's a thrill, right? You know, along with being young and being horny as hell, you know. At that age, there's no way he's not all hormones. You know what I mean? But it makes sense to me. Also, I mean, he was just so. When you look at the stuff he was doing, that seemed to be like the last thing on his mind. I mean, he was. They found airplane stuff, you know. Whatever the cops like, there was at one point, I believe the cops had found his little camp that he made deep into the woods, and they raided his tent, and he saw them do it. He just, you know, he managed to evade them, but apparently one of the things they found was like a book of just airplanes, pictures of airplanes, dude. Like, I think it said like 1,000 images of airplanes or aircrafts, right? This kid just loved airplanes, right? So, you know, he's like a kid with a train set. You know what I mean? So he had a very, very innocent way about him. I don't think that, and in his mind, he was like hurting anyone. I really don't feel that way. I'm not getting that vibe from him at all. So yeah. So what this kid would do, and you're gonna love this, in order for this kid to steal planes, first off, let's talk about how he would camp out and how he would get camping gear. So what this kid would do to get camping gear is he would break into someone's house and he would steal their credit card, and then and he would steal laptops. He would steal all kinds of shit, phones, laptops, and he would take this kid would take the credit card and then order camping gear and have it delivered to somebody's house and then steal it from their house. Like, this is how this kid would survive. So I think that's the boldest shit in the world. Like, how are you're gonna take somebody's credit card, then you're gonna order tents, you're gonna order all kinds of whatever camping gear. I'm not a big camper, but you're gonna order all the kind of shit that a camper would need to survive out in the woods, right? And you don't have an address to deliver it to, so you steal somebody's address too, and just have it delivered there. And right, Quinny, I'm telling you, Breakfast Club fan, I'm telling you, I'm on board with you. I'm totally with you. And this is how this kid would basically get anything he needed. At one point, even he would break into businesses too, and he would bust into their safes. He's not a safe tech. You know what I'm saying? You watch these movies and people are breaking into safes, and obviously these are like safes that have like tons of gold in them in the movies and whatnot. But these small businesses would have a small, standard size safe, and he would just sit there and pry the shit open with a crowbar. And he would take the time to do it. So he'd be just sitting there working for hours. It wasn't like he was like, let me run in, grab what I can. He'd be like, no, I want that, and I'm going to get that. And nothing, especially not no rinky-dink little safe, is going to stop me from getting that. And it's me against this safe for the next few hours. So it blows my mind. And Breakfast Club fan, you said he reminded you of Frank Abagnale Jr. That's the gentleman who the film Catch Me If You Can was based on. So yeah, in the way that he evaded the police, very, very similar in his maturity level and the way that he thought. But that movie was extremely dramatized. He was extremely dramatized in the things that this kid would do, and the relationship that he had with Tom Hanks's character. But this kid was the real deal. There hasn't been a movie made about this kid yet. None of this stuff is dramatized. This kid did all this mad shit. And so you've got him breaking into people's safes. At one point, he had like a nest set up kind of on a kind of double level airport, small little airport in some small town. And he on the rooftop in a little cubby hole, he had like a little nest that he set up for himself to stay at. And he wanted to be close to the planes. And the cops actually found it and didn't catch him, but found it. And I think he had something around like $21,000 in cash that he stole, just that he accumulated from stealing from people's houses. So this kid was so smart as to not even leave any type of paper trail. No, he wasn't going around buying flashy shit. If he wanted flashy shit, he'd steal it and enjoy it for a minute and then let it go. That's what he would do. He would steal a nice car, take off with it, joyride with it, and leave it alone. Just abandon it somewhere or crash it, and just do whatever he wanted. And Breakfast Club fan, as far as I know, we're going to get into that too. I don't know why there has not been a movie made about him yet, but from what I understand, he made a movie deal with 20th Century Fox, apparently, for like somewhere north of $1 million. And all that is ordered to be paid as restitution to his victims. So everybody's good, right? I mean, it wasn't like, oh, well, you know, most of these crimes, it's like, well, you know, I'm never going to get the stuff back, or I'm, you know, if he kills somebody, well, I'm never going to see that person again. You took that person away from me for the rest of my life. And no matter how much time you do, that's never going to change that. That's never going to make that right. That's never going to fix that. So not only did this kid do time, right? Not only did this kid do time for what he did, but he also managed to pay restitution to all his victims for what he stole. So who got hurt? Who got hurt? So I got nothing but good things to say about this kid, because I don't think any of this was really his fault. You know, he lacked the guidance that it took to make the right decisions. We know how to make decent decisions because there's always someone in our lives that teaches us to make the right decisions. He didn't have that. And yet he was brilliant. And yet he had no desire to actually hurt anyone. He was not violent. So, you know, we're talking about a kid who was just inclined to do what he dreamed of doing. He just was forced to be in a position to make his own decisions and do them by his own standards, because no standards were ever set for him. So you've got this kid graduating from stealing cars to stealing planes. So what does he do? He breaks into a restaurant, right? He breaks into a restaurant, and he decides to order flight simulation manuals and books on how to fly a plane to this restaurant, and go in there when they were closed, and break in and go in when they were closed and steal these flight manuals and study them. And then said, I think I'm ready to fly a plane. So this kid teaches himself how to fly a plane by reading manuals that he had ordered, I guess, online, and had them delivered to a restaurant that he broke into to get the flight manuals and study how to fly a plane and educate himself on how to fly a plane. And then was like, you know what? I'm ready. Hey, Doodlebug, he was like, I'm ready. So my man just bye, Joan Brown. Thanks for coming in. My man just decided to hit up the airport, get in a plane, hot wire plane, and take it, and then fly it. I mean, that's insane. Can you imagine being all of 16, 17, 18 years old, right? And you're in the sky, dude. You're in the sky. It's just you, this piece of machinery, no passengers, nobody doing it for you, nobody walking you through it. It's not like he could, dude, it's not like he even took advantage of, it's not even like he took advantage of air traffic control and utilized that tool where he had somebody directing him on where to go. Airplanes, dude, pilots don't eat, they never do that. Pilots are always on the radio with traffic control because they don't want to smash head on with another plane. You know, they want to know where they can land. They want to know when they're clear to land a plane. This kid didn't think about that stuff because he's a damn kid. So he ends up just taking this plane. I mean, all I can do is just picture this boy this innocent, I mean, he's not so innocent because he's a fucking thief, but I picture this kid, you know, with a free heart, just a very, very free heart. And it's just him and the tranquility of the sky. I mean, how can you say you've done that? I sure as fuck can't. Can anybody say that they've done that? I mean, that's mind-blowing. That's mind-blowing to me. And the initiative he took to get himself there blows my mind. Blows my absolute mind, dude. So eventually, I mean, there were a couple of run-ins, man. There was a couple of serious run-ins that he had with the police where they cornered him, but he always managed to just like outrun them and outsmart them, lose them in the woods. I mean, it was incredible. This kid had T-shirts made about him. Everybody in the country was going nuts over this kid. What's up, Doodlebug? Everybody was going nuts over this kid, and everybody was cheering him on. Everybody except the people he was ripping off. And I mean, rightfully so. These people were mad, dude. This kid was a scourge. You know, there was an Ace Hardware. These people that owned a little Ace Hardware in the small town that he lived in, and he was the scourge of that town, and the people at the Ace Hardware would call him a cockroach. You know, they would call him the cockroach. The cockroach was here again because he just kept breaking in and stealing shit. I mean, I guess if you're roughing it out in the woods, you're gonna need some tools, right? You're gonna need some tools. And he would always break into their safe, take their money, and he would steal the stuff that he needed. And he would even get to a point where he would end up in places where people would actually catch him. There's actually, I think, a story. I don't know if this is completely accurate, but he's in the kitchen of somebody's house, and he's raiding their fridge because he's hungry, and the person totally knew who he was. It was a woman, totally knew who he was, and was like, oh man, if you're hungry, just sit down, I'll make you something, and cooked them up some food, you know, and then he said thank you and went on his way. I mean, to me, that speaks volumes. That speaks volumes. So Doodlebug is posting a link right now to my Facebook group, and that full documentary is there in that Facebook group, and it's beautifully done because there's this animated all the way through it. There's an animated dramatization of what this kid was doing, and it kind of makes him look like a cool little action hero, you know, in the song. I mean, it's pretty mind-blowing. You could make a video game based on this kid's spree, and just make the goal just not getting caught. And eventually what ends up happening is he ends up stealing a plane. He ends up stealing a plane on 4th of July 2010, a Cessna 400, and he flew over 2,000 miles with it, all the way to the Bahamas. So this kid, his dreams just got like, he realizes at 19, man, I'm thinking small. Like I could I could just go to the Bahamas. I could go live in paradise and do the same thing I'm doing here. I can just do it in paradise. What the hell am I doing in the cold? This is stupid. So he steals a plane, flies it all the way to the Bahamas from Washington, right? From Washington State, from Seattle, and flies it all the way to the Bahamas. Oh, I'm sorry. Never mind. He stole that plane from Indiana. That's why I paused there, because I was like, was it Seattle? No, he stole it from Bloomington, Indiana, and flew it all the way to the Bahamas. And that's still a crazy, crazy trip, man. That's insane how long. I mean, so this kid just made a thing out of it. Let me just steal a plane, head over to paradise. The beaches and the ocean is what's for me. This snow can kiss my ass. And he decided to leave and fly all the way out there. And he was doing the same thing. He was breaking into different businesses. And kind of, I think he was just like living on the beach. A couple people gave him a place to stay, some food or whatever. And eventually, the way he got caught, the story that I heard was that he was taunting some folks on a dock. He stole a boat. And this is what he would do. He would do this a lot. He would steal one boat. He would steal a boat and then take it to another dock and leave that boat, steal another one, take it to another dock, so on and so forth. And he would do this in the Bahamas. And in one instance, apparently what he ended up doing was stealing a boat, and he ended up taunting some guys that he saw on the dock and smiling at him. He was smiling at him saying, hey, I'm the Barefoot Bandit. I'm Colton Harris Moore. And by then he was already famous. By then he was already breaking into places. His picture was all over the newspaper. Everyone knew who he was. It wasn't like everybody was like, who is the Barefoot Bandit? Where, how do we identify this guy? He was identified. He was identified the entire time he was on the run. This guy's face was everywhere, and nobody could catch him. Nobody could catch him. They knew his name. They knew his face. And the advantage that he had over everyone else was realizing that he did not need the things that the rest of us convince ourselves that we need. He was able to separate necessity from luxury in the most realistic fashion in order to survive. That is what kept him one step ahead of law enforcement the entire time. Was this kid did not need a home. He needed vehicles, but he would just steal the vehicles, and he wouldn't hold on to them for too long. He would just ditch them. He would do anything he needed to do to evade the cops, and he would hide out in the deep woods and just rough it, and just that's it. And yes, Doodlebug, he just wanted experiences, man. This was just a good kid who just had it rough as a child. Because apparently he was just really kind to everyone that he came across. He was really nice. He was a pleasant person. People liked him. They just didn't like the fact that he couldn't stop ripping people off. So the town that he's from couldn't stand him, hated him, but he was a hero literally everywhere else. So he's in the Bahamas, crash lands the plane into the Bahamas, steals a boat, and he ends up getting bored, and he stops and he sees these two dudes standing on the docks. And he's smiling at him, and he's like, hey, I'm Colton Harris Moore, the Barefoot Bandit. I'm Colton Harris Moore. and these guys they know exactly who he is, you know, and they're trying to lure him closer, apparently, so because they know there's a reward out for him, and they want to catch him, collect the reward. But they end up getting into a boat and chasing him down. So that's what he was looking for. He was looking for a chase. He even supposedly told them, "Hey, call the cops. I'm bored. Call the cops." So he challenged these people. To chase him and catch him. So very much a catch me if you can type situation. I mean, it's like an elaborate game of tag to this guy. And so he ends up getting caught. He ends up getting caught, and apparently what happened was his boat got caught on a sandbar, because that happens a lot, man. I don't know how familiar you guys are with the with the ocean down there in the Atlantic, and that tropical in that Caribbean area there, and off the coast of Miami's like that too. A lot of sandbars. People throw parties out here on these sandbars sometimes, but you don't see them because sometimes they're just under the water. So, you know, you've got a sandbar that's coming all the way up. You've got, I mean, the water's, you know, 100 feet deep, and then you know, a sandbar will come up, and you won't see that if you're flying down in a boat. You know, you're gonna hit that sandbar. And the thing is these boats, a lot of these boats have navigation systems that tell you where these sandbars are, so you can avoid them. But I don't think if the boat that he was in had a navigation system, I doubt that he knew how to use that navigation system, because I don't think that he was ordering books and having them delivered on how to drive a boat and use a navigation system. I think he was just focused on flying. But so his boat gets caught on a sandbar, and then they end up drawing their guns, and he ends up surrendering, and that's it. And the Bahamian Royal Police ended up catching him. And I'm gonna find some footage of that real quick. I'm gonna find some footage of the Bahamian police taking him off that plane. I saw that before. All right, that's 10 minutes long though, man. I don't know if I want to get into all that. I don't know, maybe we'll just fast forward and all that kind of shit. Where was that? All right. All right, so
you gotta take the camera. Let him walk slow, let him walk slow. Get him straight. Get him straight.
And look at him, he's barefoot. And I feel so bad looking at him, right? I mean, I don't know nothing about no Bahamian jail. I don't want to find out either. But it seemed like they're treating them pretty good. You know, I mean, they're just proud of the fact that they're the ones that caught him. Obviously, I mean, they're proud of taking that kind of credit. I don't blame them. This guy made everybody look a fool, and
let's make this one fast. Yeah. You gotta move on. Okay, let's go. Welcome to the Bahamas, brother.
I mean, they are taunting him too. Like you hear somebody go, "Welcome to the Bahamas, brother." I mean, you know, you fuck around, you get what you get coming to you. That's just the way that is. I mean, as much as this kid took the initiative to experience life, it's not like he's not getting what he deserved. He, you know, you fuck around, you pay the price. It happens. So you know, I don't feel bad for him in the sense that, you know, this isn't right, because it is. I feel bad for him because, you know, he is a kid, and he never wanted to really hurt anybody. He was just playing a game, man. He was playing a game, and he was doing it with people's property, and that kind of reckless behavior can put people in danger. So there's that to consider as well. And you know, he got caught. You know, he made a lot of people look stupid. He made a lot of people look very, very, very foolish. I mean, he's just a kid, and the top trained law enforcement professionals, some of them, the top trained law enforcement professionals in the country could not catch this kid. They could not zero in on this kid and catch him. That's got to do something.
Tell me what happened yesterday. Last day this morning.
It's on my way going.
Give me them again.
Jamal Brown.
Tell me what the ordeal of last night.
It's on my way going to 3 Island.
Oh, so this guy, okay, this is going to be an interesting interview, because this guy, I think, is the captain of the boat that chased him down. So let's listen in on that.
Like I put my boat up on plane outside and push the trolley. And so this little small will come with this white bonnet. And like when I got close to it, it's apparently be the same Barefoot Bandit. And we chase, he's on high speed chase for 30 minutes running around in circles trying to get him. But after we started to go down too far, I pulled back because I was scared, because I knew he might have been harmed or whatever. So the pullback came in for more people, and then we go back looking for him, and that's when we lost him. So,
what time was he caught?
I know he spotted when we ran.
Man, that's hard it's hard to understand this dude. His accent is very thick and the volume is very low. So they didn't have a mic close enough to this guy when they were interviewing him. But I'm really interested to hear in detail what he was talking about. But I did hear him say so that they chased him around in circles for about 15 minutes. So it's almost as if he wanted to get caught. It's almost as if he was setting himself up to get caught, like he was already tired of running. And he just wanted one last run, one last little.
So he might have been caught around 4.
How did you recognize he was the Barefoot Bandit?
Wow. So, I mean, he's saying that he got the call at like midnight, and then he was finally caught at like 3 or 4 a.m.
Because someone just called me from Montreal, so I was sitting there talking there, word for word, and they called me and said, I represent someone voice, and across from the I call it speedboat.
in a small community like Harvard, how do you feel? He's on the run for 2 years. So how do you feel he's being captured on your island?
I really can't say because even then, a lot of frustration because I can have a boat the other day, before the boat run, and it's making people scary. And they say the people who's going across the first, but they change their mind.
So you're glad that he finally caught? Okay, thanks.
So, plenty of the guys that saw me get in the mic. Just put me on the station. Get in the mic.
What's your name?
Oh, I need really Johnson.
What's your involvement in this?
I was the first young man in Sparta. We was on the dock, right? And he come riding in. And he ride back out. And they say, I was calling him for about 10 minutes and he won't answer me. And after a while, he called and he coming close up. And me and him was chasing and he's telling me what he get Cuba. And he won't get to the airport and everything.
So was he a suspicious looking character? Did you recognize him?
No, he little white, goony, little goofy young man. That's how he looked to me. See what I'm saying?
So are you happy that he's in court?
That's up.
All right. You got the trucks. Cameraman coming up. Okay, fine.
Yeah, this is interesting. I mean, because some of them are being dicks, but the other guys are just kind of being like whatever, you know? I mean, they just realize how valuable of a catch that is. But it's kind of sad to see him sitting there like that. He must be so scared. All right. I mean, we don't need to watch this whole boat ride. So now he's on a plane. I guess they're extraditing him back to the United States. And this is what that is, maybe. So this is him in public, being dragged through public. And the people are cheering him. But I can't tell if they're cheering him or if they're cheering the fact that he is caught. Oh, shit. He's so tall. That's basically it right there. Oh. Yeah, people are saying we love you. And so the word is, guys, let's look into, let's find out if let's find out if there is an actual movie being made about him or not. What is this? Okay, that's just they made a documentary, but that's it. I don't think that, I don't know if a movie is in development yet. Let's see right here. This is interesting. So he's been out for a few years now. He's been out of prison for a few years now. And I'm seeing this article here where it's saying that he got a job. So he went back to Seattle. He lives in Seattle. And he's been released from jail, and he was living in a halfway house. This is in 2016. And he's in a work release and about to start a job with a surprising employer, his attorney. So his attorney gave him a job. And he's just going to be doing, and he was doing low-level clerical work. So he was on his way to do, you know, he's trying to, he's just trying to live a life. Let's see what the quote here says. So his attorney's name is John Henry Brown. And John Henry Brown says, in describing Colton working for him, he might have a little touch of Asperger's, but he can focus on something and master it. But he never flew, he never flew a commercial plane. Yeah, so according to this too, according to his attorney, when he was a kid, his mother would get food stamps, and she would use the food stamps and sell them so she can get beer and booze. So he, you know, this kid never had a chance, man. This kid never had a chance. This kid never had a chance. So yeah, and apparently, let's find out what he's doing now. Let's see if we could find out what he's up to these days, because it's been a few years, so I wonder what he's doing. All right, it doesn't say here what he's doing now. All right, let's see. So there's this documentary that was made in 2014 called Fly Colton Fly, Fly Colt Fly, which is actually what we're going to end up watching together, guys. Which I think you guys are going to love, because I found it beautiful, actually. So all right, this is the most updated thing that I'm seeing now. So apparently he's still, you know, he's still kind of paying for his crimes, but let me show this. Wow, you guys are going to be interested in this. So yeah, man, look at him. I wonder if I can zoom that. No, I don't think I can. I think that's the best I can do, guys. But I mean, you know, he looks pretty well adjusted in that picture. So he's trying to raise 125 grand for flight training. So he's still pursuing his goal as a pilot. So Barefoot Bandit asked judge to shorten his supervised release. Oh, and it's because, okay, so it says Colton Harris Moore says travel restrictions are holding back a lucrative public speaking career. So he could be going around and teaching people things, but since apparently he can't travel, and this is as of April 24th last year. So let's see what this quote says. It says here, "I have learned from my past. I do not run from it, but instead try to embrace it for the better." Harris Moore said, "I hope to serve as a model for people who have hard lives and whom feel helpless. I saw it every day when I was confined, and I have seen it in the world upon release." He's right, man. I mean, he has seen it. Let's see, what else does he say? He says, "I do not do drugs. I do not drink alcohol. I do not associate with any criminals. I have zero risk of recidivism. I've never heard that word before. And I have not committed a single crime since 2010. Had I been able to effectively explore this opportunity, which requires absolutely fluid domestic and international travel, and assuming I was able to do this for the past 2.5 years, I would have earned around $600,000 net." Wow. So this kid, he's focused. This kid's already an entrepreneur. So you could see it in his actions. You know, that when I talked about this the other day, you could see it in his actions that he had the makings of a real, true entrepreneur. And, you know, like I said, he just had the wrong guidance. He had all the ambition. He had all the drive. He had all the tenacity. He had all the, you know, he had all the tools. Let's see. Look at this kid. Listen to this kid, bro. "I have not been able to visit friends in London, France, China, or Korea." of several examples, I recently had to decline a friend's wedding in Bali. So this kid's already making friends like high up, you know, he's making connections. He's utilizing his notoriety in the best possible way that he can. A birthday celebration he missed out on and a New Year celebration in Lake Chelan, Washington. He says, I am essentially wholly confined to Western Washington state, and it has a significant impact on my quality of life. I mean, it does. So I'm going to read the letter. He has a letter here. So I'm going to read this letter to the judge that's asking him. So let's read this thing in full. I am writing this letter to the court. Maybe I could make it bigger so I can read it easier. Oh, this is a long letter though. I don't know if I want to get into all this. Maybe I will. I don't know. It's 3 pages. I'll save that for part 3. I'll save that for part 3 because I want to try to wrap this up by 1 o'clock. Yeah. So I got some strong feelings about this kid wanting to do something with himself today. So I'm going to do a 3rd-parter on this thing. We're probably going to watch that documentary, and I'm going to read that letter, and we're going to have a good time doing it. I just don't want to. I don't want to do. Well, you know what? Yeah. See, the thing is I got stuff going on, and I'm not going to be able to go on until like at least 1 a.m. if I do that. Maybe I'll just do this again this time tomorrow, depending on how things go. But maybe I'll go on late tonight and just kind of shoot the shit with you guys, whoever's up late. But yeah, man, I don't know. I'm really having a lot of fun exploring this kid as far as what he's done, and I really want to see this kid become successful. I think it's amazing. I'm doing nothing but rooting for him. You know, and it's funny because when you look at it now, because if I lived in that town at the time and he was at large, I would have probably been like, man, somebody needs to fucking catch this motherfucker. He is a pain in the ass. I can't keep coming to work and having to fix my lock. You know, I can't keep coming to work and having to talk to insurance companies. You know, I mean, I get it. I get it. But when you look at the entire situation in hindsight, there's no reason to feel any hatred for this kid or any there's no reason to feel any hatred or any animosity towards him at this point. You can only hope that he's genuine in saying, all I want to do is do better for myself. I want to be the best Colton Harris Moore that I can be. And he has an opportunity to be the best Colton Harris Moore that he can be. And the irony of this is what good? Let's look at his crimes. What good is confining him to that one particular area going to do? This is where he committed the majority of his crimes, and he's already proven that he can get anywhere he wants. He can do anything he wants anywhere. It doesn't matter. You know, so why not, you know, and he's already known in that town as a thief. Why not give him an opportunity to branch out? He's not stealing. He's trying to inspire people. He's trying to do right. He's trying to do the opposite of what he was doing with his abilities before. He went down one avenue, and it was a bad one. But through rehabilitation has proven to be effective in his case. Rehabilitation has proven to be effective in his case. I believe this with all my heart right now, and it has pointed him in the right direction. And so his capabilities should not be tied down. His capabilities should not be made they shouldn't be, they shouldn't be disabled. So I really hope this kid gets through this, man. I really hope this that it turns out that this turns out. I mean, like I said, this is a year old. This is a year old, so I'm hoping that he's managed to get past this stuff in the past year. And I think, yeah, Doodlebug, I think that he has definitely served his time. And like I said, he made a deal with 20th Century Fox where he was going to get $1 million or something like that. But that was made to where he had to pay restitution for his victims. So not only did he pay through punishment, but he literally paid it back. And he's still so young. He's still so young. Oh. So he tried to do the YouTube thing a couple years ago, or 9 months ago. Okay. That's interesting. Yeah, I figured that's what it meant, Caleb. Thank you. That's I figured that's what it meant. It was, yeah, absolutely. I've just never heard that word before. It's an interesting word. I don't think I'll ever use it again because I could hardly pronounce it. Recidivism. I'm gonna keep saying that. Recidivism. Interesting. So yeah, I'll check out the videos, Wicked Witch. I'll check out the videos. Yeah. So, and thank you for bringing this case to my attention. Well, I don't want to say case. Thank you for bringing this this little piece of history to my attention. It's a fun thing to talk about. So I hope you guys are enjoying it as well. But I'm gonna go ahead and call it, guys. And I'm gonna see you guys. Let's see. Yeah, no, I appreciate that, man. I really appreciate that. I definitely needed it, and I think a lot of you guys did too. So yeah. And we're gonna keep, like I said, when there's updates on the Gannon Stock case, and when I say updates, I mean news updates, updates regarding the investigation. I'm not going to, not on this channel anyway. I'm not gonna discuss Facebook posts and videos, and I'm not doing any of that stuff. But if there's an update in the case, then yes, I will absolutely I will talk about it here, because I know a lot of us care about Gannon and we want to see him come home safe. So guys, I love you guys very much, and we are going to do this again very soon. I had a really good time, and I love hanging out with you guys. And I'm going to fix myself some food. I'm going to go to the gym and I'm gonna try to make the best of the rest of my day. So I hope you guys do the same, and maybe we'll do something together tonight. All right. Have a good night, guys.